Hello, you guys. Welcome to my channel. You might know me from TikTok or Instagram. My name's Lexi. I've been a full-time traveler for about 3 years now, and I'm going to be talking today about one of my favorite places I've ever been, Guatemala. This video will tell you pretty much everything you need to know before you go, but of course, if I missed anything, comment below, let me know what you want to know, and let's get into it. First things first, you're going to fly into Guatemala City. I went straight from Guatemala City to Antigua. It's about an hour and a half drive. I arranged ahead of time through my hostel. I do recommend doing it this way. There are cheaper ways to do it, but it was really nice, especially because I landed late, to just have someone waiting there with my name on a whiteboard. But of course, if you're a budget backpacker, there's always several different means of transportation. There's buses, there's taxis, although I think taxis might be more. I'm not sure. It was only $20 to be picked up by someone from my hostel, so I just did that. I stayed at Pacaya. It does regularly book out, so either book in advance or they do have sister companies. One of their sister companies that's also in Antigua is Ojalá, and I think there's another one, but I can't remember what it's called. There's lots to do in Antigua. My favorite thing by far is the Acatenago volcano hike. You hike Acatenago so that you can see El Fuego erupt. It erupts every about 20 minutes and is still one of the most surreal things I've ever experienced. Guatemala was actually my first time ever backpacking, and it's been really hard to top it. The hike is really difficult. I did it in tennis shoes. I would probably recommend hiking boots for the ankle support, but don't bring ones that are going to get your feet hot because it's a hot hike, which is one of the hardest parts. It's hot and it's straight up. I would plan at least 4 days in Antigua if you're going to do the volcano hike, because a lot of people can get altitude sickness. My boyfriend Raheem got really bad altitude sickness while we were there, and luckily someone we were hiking with had medicine for him, but it still kind of bothered him the whole time. Obviously, this is still one of his favorite things we've ever done too, but it's just better to know before you go. You're going to want to acclimate in Antigua for about 2 days before the hike, because Antigua is also a higher altitude. Then you're going to want to, on the third day, do the hike and probably plan another day after, just because it's such a hard hike and you're probably going to be sore and just want to chill the next day. All right, let's break down what the hike entails. It took us about 4 hours to get to the base camp. We went with V Hiking. Again, V Hiking. This isn't sponsored. I just really liked my experience with them, and I have heard iffy things about some of the other companies. Definitely just make sure that you're booking local as much as you can in general when you travel, because the local companies do it best anyway. I have heard some of the other companies, like, they only give you a couple of minutes and then want you to go back to the base camp, and it's just, I feel like that would be horrible, because I had such the opposite experience where they let us stay as long as we wanted. We literally hiked back when it was dark out. I highly recommend V-hiking. Also, the owner's mom literally made us breakfast before the hike. We rented out gear through them, so we brought some gear. It'll say on their website, and I'll actually put it on here too, what we brought versus what we rented, but you don't have to bring all the gear you're gonna need, because they'll have some too. Also, bring sunscreen. I actually got so sunburnt, which was weird because it wasn't very hot with the altitude, but it's not going to be hot, but you'll still need sunscreen. That was a big mistake I made. So how the hike goes, it's 4 hours to the base camp, and then you're going to have a little bit of downtime before going to El Fuego. In your downtime, a lot of people nap and chill and get tired, but you have to go to the El Fuego hike. That is the coolest thing I've ever done. You have to do it no matter how tired you are. However, the sunrise hike the next morning, I heard it's cool, but it's nothing compared to the El Fuego hike, and waking up for sunrise after such a hard hiking day the day before will be a little difficult. The hike from the base camp to El Fuego wasn't very long. I do remember it being steep though, so just watch your step. So how this works is there's Acatenago and then there's El Fuego. El Fuego is the one that erupts every 20 minutes, and Acatenago is a volcano right next to it that's not erupting, and that's where base camp is, and so it's a little bit obviously safer than like camping on an active volcano. But yeah, you wake up the next morning, there's an optional sunrise hike. I just stayed at the base camp and watched sunrise, and I have no regrets. I thought it was beautiful. After that, they make you breakfast and you head down. Honestly, the hike down was pretty easy. The way up is straight up, the way down's straight down. You just gotta watch your step. In Antigua, you can also do Pacaya. Pacaya is where people roast marshmallows and make pizzas and a bunch of fun stuff. in the volcano. However, you have to book the pizza thing in advance. I don't know why I thought that you could just pay to do it when you're there. It's definitely something you sign up for ahead of time. So I just did the marshmallows, but it was still really fun. And I'm glad that I did the hike, but it's more of something you do if you have time, not as much of a massive bucket list experience like Acatenago and El Fuego. All right, after Antigua, we headed out to Lake Atitlan. I loved Lake Atitlan too. It's super cool. There's 3 volcanoes, and then in the middle is a lake. I stayed at Free Cerveza and I highly recommend it. We had free paddleboards and kayaks whenever we wanted. It was such a friendly atmosphere too. They had family dinners, free beer every night with the family dinners. They had yoga classes. There's just so much to do. And actually the main form of transportation at Lake Atitlan is ferry. And so you pay like $2 to $3, but in quetzales to go to all the little areas around the lake. There's lots of cute towns. I highly recommend checking out a couple. This actually confused me at first when I was there. Free Cervezas, like there's a bunch of different town names, and then Free Cerveza has their own deck. So when they ask where you want to go, you don't say a town name, it's just Free Cerveza. After we went to El Paredon. El Paredon's a little bit out of the way, and so if you're limited on time, I would recommend skipping this. It's a black sand beach, there's surfing. It's definitely a fun vibe, but it's not much of a city, and there's not a lot to do outside of the beach. I did like where we stayed. We stayed at Mellow Hostel, but it wasn't right on the beach. It was a couple-minute walk, and you had to like carry your surfboard, and it was a black sand beach, and it was just really hot, so it actually kind of felt like a lot of work to get to the beach. I don't know if I'd stay there again. I haven't stayed at the other hostels, and so I don't know how they are, but I know Coco Ree and Driftwood are both on the beach. I think they're both party hostels, so depending on your vibe, that could be an option. But yeah, kind of just a surf town. It's pretty, but this is what I would skip because it's pretty out of the way if you're limited on time. From El Paredon, I actually went back to Antigua because it was right on the way and it split up the drive. Stayed in Antigua for a night and then went to Semuc Champey. Now, I didn't actually stay right next to Semuc Champey. I stayed in Lenquin. I think I'm saying that right. I'm not sure. And I stayed at Zephyr Lodge and it was gorgeous. It's like this infinity pool in the middle of the jungle. It's pretty crazy. The rooms are pretty nice. I have good things to say about it. I arranged my tour to Semuc Champey at the hostel. I also arranged most of my transportation at the hostel. It was so easy to do all around Guatemala. You'll meet so many backpackers. There's a lot of Europeans, actually not a lot of people from the US, but Semuc Champey was gorgeous. And I don't know if they still do this, but in our tour for through Zephyr Lodge, we did this insane cave experience. I don't even know hike, but pretty much what we did was we had these candles and we were like swimming / walking through this cave where the water was sometimes like above people's heads. And we were just like trying to keep our candles above water because that was our only source of light. They were like, don't let your candle go out because then we'll get stuck in here, which I don't know if that's true. They probably know the cave inside out, but it was a little freaky. If you're claustrophobic, I would not do the cave part, but they give you warnings and they're like, if you're claustrophobic, do not go in here. There's parts where you're doing these little cliff jumps inside the cave. I'm kind of surprised I even did it. I'm glad I did it, but I wouldn't do it again probably. It was a little freaky, but it was a cool experience. And then we just kind of toured Semuc Champey. That's everything I did in Guatemala. Let me know if I missed anything. Guatemala is one of my favorite countries I've ever been to, so I am so excited for you guys to check it out. And if you like this video, make sure you subscribe because I will be posting weekly. Let me know what place you want me to do next, and I'll see you guys next week.